It's time for another Clone War. What's going on, guys? My name is Neeb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Today we're going to be talking about Angel Share and all of the dang clones that I have in my collection. These are all the ones that are coming from known brands that have been in the space for quite some time, that have reputation, all that good stuff. I'm sure there are a lot of other brands that have probably done this inspo, but when you guys see how many there are, it's like, okay, we really don't need any more. These are some of the best and some of the worst, and let's just go ahead and get started with hitting that subscribe button. And how we're going to do this is basically talk about the ones that I find to be the most detached and then get closer and closer to the DNA. So now that you've subscribed, let's go ahead and kick things off with Angel Share in itself. It smells like apple cinnamon pie. It smells like the fall and winter time. It's very sexy, boozy, seductive, and it lasts pretty much all day. The projection of this one is usually closer encounter for dates, etc. And that's going to be the similar case with all of these other recommendations, unless there's something significantly different. Now with this fragrance right here, it spawned a shit ton of clones, and we're going to kind of clear up the air with some of the better ones, but let's start off with ones that I find to be more of inspos or spin-offs, if you will. And we might as well start off with one of the more expensive ones, and this is called Kissa Sava, a Middle Eastern niche fragrance that smells more like a spin-off or a twist. It kind of takes this DNA, tones down some of those liqueur aspects, or the cognac, I should say, keeping that mandarin undertone without so much the liquor, and also increasing some of the sweetness and spice. Dates and more spices, basically. So this is also beastly stuff. It's absolutely stronger than Angel Share. You get 200 mLs for less than the price of Angel Share in itself. Shortly after this came out, another fragrance was released that is kind of a spin-off as well, so slightly detached as well, and it's called Latafas Khamra. So Latafas Khamra is actually inspired by Sava, but it's understandably close to Angel Share because of everything that I mentioned. So it's got more of the dates, less of the liqueur, more of the spice as well, and it makes it I mean, all of this is unisex, really. Gentlemen, if you don't like sweet, then you're probably not going to enjoy this DNA, and its twists. The scent profile in itself does smell really nice. It almost smells like a wearable candle. I will say that, like a lot of those candle scent profiles like Bath and Body Works, etc., and that's my beef with their fragrances, is I can't really wear them because I see them more so as candles. These, not so much. Although it does have that vibe, it's still very wearable, very wearable. Sometimes the factor of like waxiness or cheap quality in those other fragrances, making them more affordable, does contribute to the whole, you know, candle vibe more so than anything. It just doesn't smell like something I would want to wear, but maybe smell around the house. And that might be the case for some people with these as well, but not for me. Performance for Khamra is all day. It's beastly projecting stuff, and the occasion is going to be for everything. Honestly, you can signature scent this as well, but it'll do the best during dates and special occasions. For most of these, it's going to be the fall, the winter, and maybe early spring. So that's the seasons for all of these fragrances moving forward, and the occasions as well. So we're still not technically in the numbering range yet of like which ones are close, because they're quite different still. So let's go ahead and talk about another one that's pretty different, and it's the flanker to Khamra. It was very successful enough to spawn qahwa. And what that basically means is coffee, and coffee just adds the note of coffee. It makes it a little bit more ambery, almost woody feeling, and closer encounter. It doesn't project as hard. It does kind of take things a bit more masculine, tones down that sweetness. And I would personally say at this point in age, I would still start off with Khamra. Khamra is definitely better in my opinion, whereas this one kind of transitions into the nighttime. Bright, still nice and playful. You can rock it during the daytime. This one is better for closer encounters, and when you're about to do the thing, I would personally pull this out in a couple of other things. Well, one more other thing, not couple. A couple of other things. So with Khamra Qahwa, the main difference is going to be the performance. It's still going to last almost all day, about 9-10 hours. And the projection for this one is definitely on the lower end of moderate. You're going to get maybe 2 feet at best. So the occasions will be definitely nighttime. Moving on to the next one that I find to be a much more of a twist. It's called Solario Epic as well. So I find Solario Epic to be stronger than Khamra, and it's kind of a hybrid between Khamra and Angel Share in itself. It has all of those dates, the spices, etc., and also adding a bit more of that cognac. This, after I, got over the hype with Khamra, although it's still a really good fragrance, I just started seeing all these clones come in and got sick of it. Rocked this one, and it kind of revived that a little bit. It's still by no means anything brand new, but it did last longer on clothing, especially for me, than Khamra did in itself. So another great one. Performance is beastly, long lasting. It'll last for days on clothing, and that's as simple as that. Very closely after the Khamra release was Sharaf blend, or the club Sharaf, yeah. It's by Zamaya, same company or sister company to Afnan, and this is very close to Khamra, seeming to be a little bit stronger as well. However, it is more spiced. It's definitely more spiced. I love the bottle, extremely heavy, and even the cap is a pretty heavy bottle. The bottle sizes or the weight differences, the Sharaf blend is much thicker glass. Beautiful presentation as well. So in terms of that, you're not really gonna get something that's too much different. It's just a little bit spicier. It's also pretty damn beastly. It does seem to last and project a little bit harder than Khamra, but that's as simple as that. Nothing else to say with that one, because now we're in a redundant territory in terms of what you're gonna get. It's really up to you, except those minor differences in performances. So Khamra is strong. It's like the middle ground, but these definitely start to get a little bit stronger because they're all trying to outdo each other at this point. And lastly, the one that outdoes a lot of these in terms of the same spiced scent profile is gonna be Royal Blend Nero. This is absolutely beastly stuff. It also seems to have a little bit more of that cognac. It's not as spiced, but I remember sitting in the convention and thinking that somebody was walking around and spraying this on or around me, and I noticed that somebody actually sprayed this on about like 7 feet away from me. It is absolutely beastly stuff. So, and that's pretty much it. I don't want to really tread too much into the redundancies because they all smell similar. Like, there's nothing else I can say about any of these. Yes, they're all spiced. Yes, they're all closer to Sava. Some of them have minor differences. This is like a hybrid. This is more spiced, and this is like the loudest of them all. It's as simple as that, you guys. Now let's move into the actual DNA in itself, the closest one, and now we're talking about more cognac, more booze, less of that spice. It's still absolutely there, but it's not going to be as concentrated as this one. I want to start off first with the most alcoholic one, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but there are a lot more or better options nowadays. And this is called Ember Fire Your Desire. Still a great option if this is the only option that you have. However, like I said, it does definitely have more of an alcoholic opening than some of these other ones. So, and it's not in that booze nature either. No, we're talking about quality. So it does come off like rubbing alcohol for the first 5 minutes, and then it starts to tone down and you're getting more of the scent profile. It doesn't get as rich as Angel Share or anything like that, and it kind of just lasts for like 6.5, 7 hours. And it's as simple as that. Its projection is like moderate for the like 2 hours, and the season is going to be consistent with all of these, like we said earlier, fall, winter, and sometimes the early spring. For the price, it's really not that bad, but even for the price point, you're going to find something that's a little bit better than that one. Moving on to the next fragrance. This is by Al Wataniya, and it's called, it's called Hayat. There you go. Hayat, like, you guys, there's a lot of ones that came out that nobody even knows about. It looks feminine, but it's actually just an Angel Share inspo. So gentlemen, you can rock this one as well, except it also seems to tone down some of the richness, the ambery, sweet apple accord. The scent is still there, but it's just a lighter take on that entire DNA, and that translates into its performance. It'll last about 7-8 hours. It doesn't necessarily open up alcoholic. It still opens up pretty nicely, but it's just lighter and easier to wear in that sense. So yeah, like I said, it'll give you about 7-8 hours. The projection will be relatively low to moderate, and making it easier to wear. Simple as that. For the price, I mean, I wouldn't go out of my way to just look for that one, but if it's the only thing available and you really like the bottle, it's worth grabbing. Next one up is from Ahmed Al-Maghribi, and this is called Jude. And this is not a weak performing fragrance by any means, but it is a little bit off from the DNA, or a little bit off from Angel Share in itself. It seems a little bit lighter, but not in terms of performance. Now, this is where you're getting the same scent profile, but not as rich and ambery or in that cognac realm. So it still has the cognac, etc. It's not as spiced as some of these other mentioned ones. It's just lighter in a way. I mean, it could potentially be that they've added some fixatives, that like heliotrope or something like that, to really fluff it up and make it a bit more diffusive. Its performance still lasts 10+ hours, and the projection is going to be leaving scent trails pretty much for like 3-4 hours. The occasions for this is also very, very similar, and for the price, I mean, this is one that's harder to find. You are paying around, like, generally speaking, $40 to $55 for the fragrances, but they do have a great track record for their performances. Next one up is called Kismet Angel by Maison Alhambra. This is one that got a lot of hype as well after the whole Latafa Khamra. This is closer to Angel Share than Khamra for sure. The only problem with this one, it was absolutely weak like water the first like 3 months that I had it, or 2 months I should say. It definitely did have that cognac, the richness. It's actually pretty damn close. I would say that now we're treading into like 80% category, but the performance was not there whatsoever. I mean, this thing was like, it was rich, it was sexy. 6.5 hours in, and I was like, I didn't even remember that I sprayed on a fragrance. As of now though, it's sat for like 5-6 6 months, I think I could squeeze out like 9 hours out of this, but it'll be relatively faint after the 5th or 6th hour, and that's the general expectation that I've come to be or get used to with Maison Alhambra. Shortly after this release came Cocktail Intense, and I did find this one to be a little bit stronger than the Maison Alhambra version, but not by too much, okay? In terms of the scent profile, they were definitely closer. This is a second bottle. The first bottle, somebody that came and tried my collection and all the Angel Share fell in love with, I gave it away. Cocktail Intense does, I mean, I would say if Kismet Angel is 80, this is like 82%. They're ridiculously close to each other, to be honest with you. But the one thing that shined for me the most was gonna be the performance out of the box of Cocktail Intense versus Kismet Angel. I would still place them in the same territory, and they're both not gonna give you that much in terms of performance, especially in comparison to what we have here today. Moving on to the next one, another release from the same brand of Cocktail Intense fragrance world. They literally just took the same juice and increased the concentration and released it into Enigma Do. So what you ended up with is a stronger version of Cocktail Intense, and definitely stronger than both of those. It does have that same cognac, but all of them ultimately don't have the same richness of that cognac. It seems like there is much more ambroxan with Enigma Do, and in that opening, you're definitely gonna sense that. It opens up pretty damn strong, so I would be careful, and projects like a champ for the first like 2 hours. Total longevity was still about 8.5 hours, but still a great option if you were looking into one of the truer ones. Next up was one that I was not expecting to even get close to any of these, and it's Barouge Sillage or Sillage. Barouge Sillage actually gets closer to Angel Share than most of these do, and it lasts for quite a long time. It doesn't necessarily have the same richness. It seems like it does amplify a little bit more so on some of that cinnamon, but it's not quite as spicy as the other ones back in the earlier portion of the video. So yes, it's close. It's better in performance than some of these ones that's mentioned, and at this point I was like, holy shit, like what is this now? I mean, you guys see, like, this is absolutely insane, but this is how dedicated I am, I guess, so let's keep it moving. There's absolutely going to be redundancies, and that's why I made this video and think that it's an important video. Just note down some of the differences and see which one sounds better to you. But moving on to the last two fragrances that are the absolute closest to this DNA as of right now. Closest doesn't necessarily negate a better fragrance. So, I mean, some people would argue that Khamra is better than Angel Share. Some people would argue that Sava is better than Angel Share. So that's not the intention of the video. If you want Angel Share, get Angel Share. There's nothing that does Angel Share even like 95% close. It's just its own thing, and that's a certain quality where like brands can't be touched, and I applaud that, and honestly, that's kind of where I want to see the market get to. I have no problem spending money on expensive fragrances, and you shouldn't either if you're getting the quality, and quality cannot be matched at fraction of prices because they're spending the money for quality ingredients. So down to the last two. This is strong. It's the closest you're gonna get for the price point of Angel Share. It's rich. It still has a little bit of diffusivity. It's not quite as ambery natured in that cognac, but it's absolutely the strongest one. It's called Royal Blend by Fragrance World, not the Nero. This is hands down the closest and the longest lasting to Angel Share in the Middle Eastern realm. Simple as that. It's strong, it's long lasting. It'll give you the scent profile to about 90 at best %, and that's pretty much it. Coming in at number 1 is Alexandria Fragrances Brooklyn Fragrance Lover. May you rest in peace. The reason it is because of that rich cognac. The cognac, the orange undertone, the richness of that, it's here. And it actually smells like, I would say, 90 to 95% close. It definitely reminds me so much of Angel Share, and I would say that there's nothing better unless you get Angel Share. The only argument that some might have is the price per ml for these Alexandria fragrances, but quite often they do have some sales, and I would say wait for those sales. Otherwise, these are all great options. They can all be redundant for sure, and that's pretty much it, man. In terms of Brooklyn Fragrance Lover, the performance, it lasts almost all day, 8 to 10 hours. It's not like beastly, but it's definitely there, and the projection is more so of a like close encounter and scent trail. It's not going to be as loud as some of these other cheaper ones, by the way, and it's not as loud as like Royal Blend or Sillage either, but the scent profile is closer. Price point, like I said, price per ml is a little bit higher, but my final thoughts is that even to this day, and I mean, I think I made this video about maybe 9 to a year ago, it was number 1, it still is number 1. And it's not always the case, but that's why I like remaking these. I don't think I'm going to remake the Angel Share Clone War video, and if they do end up coming up with some stupid amount, actually I don't think I would remake this video because that would just promote redundancy, etc. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and that it helped you in any way get an idea for the scent profiles and all the differences in a world of a shit ton of redundancies and different versions. Make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.